The crowd at the city's grand charity gala was glittering with diamonds, silk gowns, and polished shoes. Flashing cameras captured every graceful pose, every smug smile, every whispered judgment that floated like smoke in the air. But then, a hush followed by soft snickers swept through the hall as a man in worn-out boots and faded cotton clothes walked in. His shirt looked like it had been washed too many times, his trousers were patched at the knees, and his rough, sunburnt skin carried the marks of years spent working under the scorching sun. Guests turned, smirking behind their champagne glasses, murmuring as if he didn't belong there. A few laughed openly, pointing at his dusty hat and calloused hands, wondering how such a farmer had managed to step into this world of chandeliers and violins. They had no idea that this man, mocked for his humble appearance, was the wealthiest individual in the entire nation. Sparkles, before we dive deeper into this powerful and emotional story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and never judging someone by how they look, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, subscribe to our channel Kindness Corner, and drop a comment below. Together, we can spread stories that heal and inspire. Sparkles. But let's go back to where this story truly began, long before the glittering ballroom, before the laughter and ridicule, back to a small village where this man's journey started with nothing but sweat, humility, and faith. Born in a forgotten corner of the countryside, Arman's earliest memories were of hunger and hard labor. His father was a poor farmer who tilled the soil with bare hands, and his mother stitched old clothes just to keep her children warm. They owned no lands of their own, only worked on borrowed plots, often giving most of their harvest away as payment to landlords. Arman was just a boy, but he knew what it felt like to sleep on an empty stomach, to watch his mother break bread into tiny pieces so everyone could eat, while she pretended she was full. He wore the same pair of trousers for years until they were nothing but rags. In school, the other children teased him for smelling like earth and manure. They called him the boy of the dirt. Yet, despite their words, Arman held his head high, because he knew something they didn't. His father often told him, "Son, our clothes may be simple, but our hearts must always be rich in kindness." Those words became his guiding light. Life hardened him early. By the time he was 15, his father had passed away, leaving the family with crushing debt. Most young boys might have surrendered to despair, but Arman chose to fight. He worked dawn to dusk in the fields, rented tools with the little money he had, and slowly began cultivating small patches of barren land no one wanted. He planted wheat where others saw only rock. He dug irrigation channels with his own hands, sweat dripping into the soil as though he was watering the land with his own life. Neighbors mocked him, saying he was wasting his time, that the land would never bear fruit. But Arman was stubborn. Season after season, he tried. He failed often, watching crops wither in drought, storms flatten his fields, and pests destroy his efforts. Each failure cut deep, yet each time he rose again, telling himself that one day, the earth would reward his patience. That reward came quietly one spring morning. Against all odds, Arman's fields turned green, thick with golden stalks of wheat swaying in the wind. What once was barren became fertile, and merchants who had mocked him now came to buy his grain. With the little profit he made, Arman reinvested, not in clothes, not in luxuries, but in more land. Year after year, his determination multiplied his harvests. He bought machinery, learned new techniques, and soon became the largest supplier of wheat in the region. People started noticing, though he still wore the same patched trousers and simple shirts. For him, clothes meant little. What mattered was feeding his family, lifting others, and proving that dignity didn't come from appearance, but from perseverance. As time went by, Arman became more than a farmer. He expanded into fruit orchards, dairy farms, and even built small factories to provide jobs for his village. He made sure no child went hungry like he once did, establishing schools, building wells, and offering scholarships for poor students. Still, he dressed simply, preferring the comfort of his old cotton clothes over expensive suits. Villagers respected him deeply, calling him Baba Arman, a father figure who turned poverty into prosperity. Yet outside his village, people judged him instantly, never looking past his rough hands and faded clothes. And so, years later, when Arman was invited to that grand city gala as the anonymous benefactor who had secretly donated millions to charities, no one knew who he truly was. As he stepped into the hall, he felt the weight of the stares, the laughter curling at the edges of polished lips. They saw only a poor farmer, not the man who had silently paid for thousands of children's education, who had fed entire towns during famine, who had given hospitals the funds to treat the sick for free. Their ignorance didn't anger him, it only saddened him. For he knew that wealth without humility was hollow, and pride without kindness was worthless. But fate has a way of revealing the truth at the right moment. As the host took the stage to announce the evening's honored guest, the room buzzed with curiosity. Tonight, the host declared, we celebrate the generosity of a man who has quietly given more to this country than any other. A man whose name few know, but whose kindness has touched countless lives. The lights shifted, and all eyes turned toward Arman. Gasps filled the hall as his name was called. The farmer in the patched trousers, the one they had mocked, was the very man they were all waiting to meet, the richest man in the nation. The same mouths that had laughed fell silent. Those who whispered behind their champagne glasses now lowered their heads in shame. Arman walked calmly to the stage, every step echoing louder than their silence. He didn't need a tuxedo or golden cufflinks to command respect. His life, his heart, and his actions spoke louder than wealth ever could. Standing there, under the spotlight, he said with quiet strength, do not measure a man's worth by the clothes on his back, but by the good he leaves behind. I came from nothing, and I wear these clothes proudly, for they remind me never to forget where I came from. The hall erupted in applause, though many clapped with tears in their eyes, ashamed of how they had judged him. That night, people walked away changed, some vowing never again to mock another for their appearance, others inspired to use their wealth and privilege for kindness rather than vanity. Arman left the gala as he entered, humble, unshaken, and dressed in simplicity. But in the hearts of those who witnessed his story, he was clothed in something greater than silk or gold. He was clothed in honor. Sparkles, if this story touched your heart and reminded you never to judge others by how they look, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel Kindness Corner for more stories that inspire. Sparkles. And before we close, here's a special request, leave a comment below telling us one thing you're grateful for today. Let's fill the comments section with gratitude, because kindness begins with a thankful heart.